Free you from your useless We're live.
We are. What's up?
That's why it's near the time.
Banger, dude.
Welcome back to the Hivemind Recap Podcast. February 2025 is behind us, the shortest month of the year, but not the shortest playlist of the year.
Are you sure?
probably.
I think it's no. Last month's was longer.
I think it's gonna be the shortest. That's pretty
It's
short.
definitely gonna be the shortest. This is
Well,
a
December.
short-ass month.
December. You never know what December's gonna bring.
He's
True.
right.
True.
You know.
It's not gonna be shorter.
But we record
we have a
that
guaranteed,
next year.
We have a guaranteed garden
We do
album
record that next year.
in
True.
December.
That is true. If there's name a better duo than
There's
December
always
and Garden
a
releases.
garden album.
This is an interesting month. It felt really short. Like, I know it's like literally shorter, but I feel like it felt just like 2 or 3 weeks long. I don't know if that's a shared sentiment, but it was.
It was a bit longer for me. Work specifically had some change management. Plus, I went back home for a wedding in my family,
Nice.
so I was out for like a weekend.
February was both a long and a short month for me because I think back on like all the things I did in February and I'm like, wow, that's a lot of things I did in February. And then I also just think about how like it was like I was hanging out with my friends in the middle of February. 2 of them flew up from out of state to come hang out for a weekend. And then the weekend was over and then I blinked and now it's March.
Yeah.
So
It's already like
March
a
is going-
third way through March too.
Yeah, March is going
Yeah.
by quick for me.
Yeah,
Those-
it's been...
those 4 days that they were up here visiting were incredibly fun. But how far behind I got on my video editing work because I was not doing anything while they were up here, I am still struggling. I'm still trying to recover from that.
You'll be
I've like
fine.
mostly recovered, but yeah, it was a very stressful couple of weeks after they left. Taking even just a couple of days off, it's like, oh shit, I have like 8 different people that need things done.
Yeah.
So-
Self-employment life. Love to
Yeah,
see it.
self-employment life. Yippee. Anyway, with that out the way, February recap, we have 1 EP and 3 albums we're talking about today. Brand new EP from Soft Spoken. Well, kind of brand new. Then we have 3 new albums from Winona Fighter, H.E.R.O, and biggest name of this episode, Architects. Probably the biggest album drop of 2025 up to this point. Not including the first week of March, but that's for next month. So yeah, we also got a bunch of singles we're talking about. Not a ton. We got a bit of a smaller playlist going on here, but still a decent number of songs to talk about. So yeah, I
But
don't think any of us
before
went to
that-
any concerts.
I did.
Yep.
You did.
I also did.
Okay.
Only Jake did.
Well,
Nice try, Jake. Yo, get him next time.
I'll
Get
see
fucked.
myself out.
See, this is why I'm glad we went to webcam because we get visual gags.
All right, you guys go first because I went on the last day of the month. So, or
Yeah,
end
I
of the
think
month.
I went to the first show of the year. I don't remember.
I think so. Mine
Um,
was like the 20th or something like that.
Yeah, mine was like the 16th. But I went to Glass Waves. They had their own sort of kind of headlining tour. It was them, Cohen Noise, and Coma Waves. The venue was super small. It was probably like about the size of my bedroom. Like it was that small. It was just like in the back of like this weird tavern. It was another round, Derek, if you know that area.
I don't think so. I don't think I've ever been.
But it was good. Show was great. I didn't know I was wearing merch of the show tonight, but that's where we're at. Glass Waves were great. They were the band I went for, and all other songs were phenomenal live. They played every song they've released, including one new one that's going to be on an EP dropping next month and the month after, one of the two. They have a EP release show scheduled for next month, but they haven't really announced if that's the release date yet or not. But the new song was very vibey. It was very, very good. I really enjoyed it. I don't know how many more songs are going to be on the EP or if it's going to be just a collection of what's been already released. But the EP itself, I'm excited for. It's definitely in contention for EP of the year for me. And they sounded great live. I shared some clips of it in our Discord, but
Yeah, from
it
that one clip
seemed
you posted, they were really good.
yeah, it's almost like night and day from between the studio to the live set. I think they're gonna be really big one day.
I would agree with that. Yeah, and I hope they play Hartford or New Haven at some point soon because I know they're like from like the New England tri-state area. I think New York somewhere. Maybe they're upstate New York. I don't know. That's not super close
Yeah,
connected.
they're
But
with the
um,
tour with Elijah next in July. And most of that's gonna be mid east, so like Ohio, Michigan, Illinois.
yeah, if they ever come to like the Webster or Toad's Place in Hartford, I am there.
Like Justin, I'm also wearing the merch for my concert, but unlike Justin, it was not in a venue the size of my bedroom. It was in an 18,000 cap arena. It was my first ever, I think, arena show actually, besides like one country artist that I saw like with my parents when I was 3. But I saw Tyler the Creator at the Golden One Center in Sacramento for the Chromacopia tour, which was one of my top 10 albums of last year. And we had phenomenal like there was like pit in the middle, and then there would what I would call kind of front row area, and we got not only did we get like in that front row area, but the 2 people in the seats ahead of us didn't show up, so we had like
that's
an
awesome.
absolutely phenomenal
Nice.
view. It also confirmed that I will always take the seats for a concert moving forward if they're
Yes.
available. I no longer want to stand.
The
I'm too
boomer
old for the pit.
mentality.
I've adopted the boomer mentality. It took till God, what am I? 23? I'll be 24 soon, but yeah, 23. The boomer mentality's kicked in. I sat down for the plot show yesterday too, and it was so nice. But no, it was I believe a 29 song set. But he didn't play. He played like maybe like a minute and a half of certain songs, and it was like a very theatrical performance. It was fantastic. One of the best sets I've ever seen. Best concerts I've ever been to. We made the power play of skipping the openers, which is not usually something I do, but I'm also now adopting that mentality if they're not artists I really listen to. Like as much as I want to hear a 21 song set from Lil Yachty, I think I'm good. Like I will support smaller artists, but Lil Yachty does not need my my dollars. But no, it was really good. I still prefer the smaller, more intimate venues. I think for those, like I complained about standing now, but I wouldn't mind standing in a smaller venue, especially to see like an artist that I really enjoy. But for something like this, really opened my mind to. I was like, oh, why would you sit down for a concert? And even like I saw Styx back in 2019 when they came to Richmond, and there were seats there. I'm like, this sucks. I want to be standing up in the pit. And now I'm like, nope, I'm good. I'm good. The mosh pit looks like I'm gonna wake up with some sort of muscle ache tomorrow. I think I'm gonna chill right here. But no, it was great. I'm really happy that I went. I would say more than I expected to pay for like a smaller venue. I much preferred my tickets to the National than the Golden One Arena, but that would be my only complaint. It really was an experience. So I'm happy to have experienced an arena tour because I haven't with any like big rock acts or anything like that before. It's always been smaller.
My only 2 arena shows that I've been to were literally like months apart from each other.
Damn.
It was Imagine Dragons, which was a graduation gift for my mom after graduating from high school, and then like 2 months later, Five Finger Death Punch, Bad Wolves, Breaking Benjamin, Nothing More at the same exact.
Damn, that's a bill.
The Xfinity Theater in Hartford.
I do find it really funny, Derek, how you only went to 1 show last year and you've doubled your shows in less than 3 months.
Oh yeah, I'm about to triple it by Tuesday. We're
Nice.
getting in there. I'm back in. I've got the concert itch has returned. I just need to force myself to go. But of course, now that that's happened, nobody's going to come to Richmond. that's the problem.
Hey, Fame on Fire next month, or is it the month after?
Is there a world where I think there is a world where I go to a Fame on Fire show now? That album,
that's insane. You go to freaking
for that album,
Fame on Fire, but you don't go to Bill Murray.
Hey, Bill Murray was a little out of my control. That's all.
Wasn't that on Valentine's?
Yeah.
You went to another one, right?
It.
This month, yes. Not in February though. So it's time for your show.
It's mine. I went to Make Them Suffer with support from like Moths to Flames, Aviana, I think their name is. I think that's what it is. Aviana and Wind Waker. And yeah, first time seeing Aviana and Wind Waker, both the first time. It was pretty solid, honestly. I like Wind Waker was awesome. It was great to see. They played Venom, which I was very happy about.
I imagine that song was very fun live.
Yeah, it you lose a little bit of the like electronics in the mix. But it was still cool.
Yeah. That makes a lot. I'm just thinking back to when I saw Hanabi. That was last year, right? Yeah. And pardon me, I have to go now. The electronics just like completely disappeared live. It's like, I know how that feels like.
Yeah, I think you need better sound guy than the random off the street in Toronto, right? And then Aviana, is that their name? It's bothering me now.
I think so, right?
Close enough.
Is that how you pronounce it?
I've heard of them, but I've never listened to them before, and they're just like heavy. They all had masks and shit too. Is like
like a Sleep Token?
Yeah, except for the singer. The singer didn't have a mask. So they're all like, I called them Swede Token because they're from Sweden. And then I saw like Moths to Flames.
They didn't change your mind?
No.
I know you're.
There's like, okay, they played some good songs, right? But in my opinion, Chris is really annoying as a front man.
Oh,
he's just
like
like
crowd play is not there.
No, it's he gets like not like angry, but he's like, oh, you guys aren't jumping. When I say jump, you guys jump, and then it's like, that's not good enough, and he got like angry at the crowd basically, even though everybody was moving anyway, and he's like he pesters and it just goes on and on. It just gets annoying after a bit, and he even had said like, am I annoying? I better be. Something around those lines. But yeah, not as good as their performance I saw them in November last year. And then Make Them Suffer is like my 7th time seeing them. First time seeing them headline. And honestly, I think it was the best show I've ever seen from them. It was.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was really good. They didn't play what's the song with Courtney? Can't remember.
Oh, Contraband.
And they didn't play Vortex, which I was very sad about. But we got one song from Worlds Apart, and I think Alex really killed the like atmospheric backing vocals. There's a few other songs, like older songs that they used to do that all the time, right? And I think she did a really good job on them. I'm surprised I still remember the words to Widower, which came out in like 2012. Yeah, it was awesome. Like that, lot of new songs, but some old ones sprinkled in. It was nice to see.
Man, if I lived closer to like Worcester or Boston, there's so many tours that I would be going to. Because that Make Them Suffer tour was in Worcester on a weekend I could have gone to. I just missed Imminence last night in Worcester. The Plot and Holding Absence tour is in Worcester next weekend, and I'm missing that.
I'm seeing Imminence
There's like
tomorrow.
5 other shows in
Plot
Worcester
on Tuesday.
that I could get tickets for. I only have tickets to one of them right now. But anyway, rambling aside, shall we get into this month's playlist then?
Yes, sir.
Because I didn't go to any concerts. I will be going to one in March, though. So
nobody went to any,
that's
right?
exciting. Anyways, if you want to keep up to date with the podcast, you can follow us on social media, Hivemind Radio _ on Instagram and Twitter. We are on Blue Sky now, Hivemind Radio, Blue Sky, something like that. I don't know. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hivemind Radio. Follow us on Spotify. Hivemind Radio recap. I should maybe work on more cohesive branding on the socials, but whatever.
We'll get there. There's a lot of
We'll
socials.
get there. We'll get there. Let's start out with our first single of 15 for this episode. We have Sleep Theory, who have dropped their brand new single Static off of upcoming debut album Afterglow. This shit bangs. One of my favorite songs of the month, and I am really excited for the debut album. It's coming out in May. And honestly, all three singles so far are fantastic. I think this is probably my favorite of them, but Stuck in My Head and Paralyzed, which I don't think we talked about, are still really good as well. A band that, like, I don't know. I feel like they should have been in contention for, like, favorite artist discovered in whatever year I discovered them, but for whatever reason, I just didn't. But Sleep Theory, without a doubt, just one of those new bands that have kind of just skyrocketed to the top of the game in a very short amount of time.
They're over 1 million a monthly listeners, like 1.6
it's
million.
Insane.
Yeah. I think they really popped off on TikTok at one point, I want to say. Like around the same time as Bad Omens, if not shortly thereafter. They might have been a byproduct of the Bad Omens Sleep Token Renaissance, maybe. But it was around that time.
I mean, you search Sleep
either
Tea.
way, they deserve it. So
yeah, Sleep Theory comes up.
Sleep Tea, yeah. That probably helped him out too. But yeah, no, I really, really like this song. There's something about the verses and the chorus that the vocal delivery just feels really nostalgic to like late 2000s pop electronic music. I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever, but the melody, it brings me back. I don't know. It's really fun. It's really bouncy, very sing-alongable, for lack of a better word. And it's got a pretty sick breakdown as well. I love how you have the main vocals, but I think everyone in the band sings at some point in most of their songs.
That's cool.
Like if you watch the music video, a lot of them will just like sing a line here or there, and it's just really cool. And everyone sounds great. The production, the mix, just Sleep Theory, without a doubt, one of the most deserved bands to rise to the top that they have done over the past couple of years. Very excited for the debut album in a couple months. Could be a sleeper top 10 hit.
I see what you
Unintended.
Any other thoughts?
I'm saving it for the album because for whatever reason, this band feels like they're so close to catching for me, and I don't know what hasn't stuck. So I'm just gonna wait for the album to drop and try
I'm
and
the
give it a
same
new
way.
try.
Feels like anytime I
enough.
listen to them, I just can't get into them for whatever reason,
Same here.
and it's just criminal depending on.
Hopefully,
them
when the
their
album comes
quality.
out, it'll get stuck in your head. That's the name of one of the singles. That's the joke.
Oh, I thought I was trying to... We need a better
I did too at
transition.
first, and then I remembered.
to
I
the
was
point
like,
where
is
I'll
there
never
a-
get enough of it.
I'm disappointed.
You know what, Justin? For that,
My
I'm giving
face
you
just
the
dropped. I was like,
You added a get in there. That's not good.
So after there's like 2 songs with the same song title, which is weird in this playlist. Archers dropped their new single, Never Enough.
And this is one of Archer's best songs, and that's why I added it to the playlist this month. This shit
Agreed.
rips. The main riff is incredible. The chorus is an earworm. The delivery of I only want you when you've got something I need, just phenomenal. And there's also some heavier parts in the song that are great, like in the breakdown. Just overall, like Archers were a band that I was a little skeptical of. We've been talking about them for a while, but it wasn't until that EP came out last year, I think, and particularly with Drag Me Out, that I really was like, okay, Archers are like, I like Archers, and I dropped a couple of songs late last year. I forget if we talked about them. And then now they're swinging with this. Never Enough is their first single of 2025, and it's one of the best songs they've ever put out, in my opinion.
This song, I think it was this song that they signed to SPG.
Okay. Man, SPG's had some good pickups over the course of the past like year or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got Never Tell.
No, they don't have Never Tell.
Never,
They have
Never
Nerve.
Nerve.
They have Nerve.
I don't know why I
Epitaph
was
has Never Tell.
Nerve, Awaken I Am.
Yeah.
It's a shame they take
together
forever
quite
to
a
release
roster.
their stuff.
True.
Real.
True. Yeah, no, this is a phenomenal song. If you haven't heard of Archers before, I don't think there is any better time to get on the hype train. Give the song a listen, give it a shout. if you like it. They just signed to a record label, and that probably means a bigger release is on the way. So,
They had an EP last year.
yep, the one with "Drag Me Out" on it.
Yeah, I would assume they're probably gearing up for like an album within the next like
I
year
hope
or
so.
so.
Yeah, that's all I got to say on this one.
Well, I'm gonna hear this song live tomorrow.
Ooh.
Imminence have released new single "Death Shall Have No Dominion,"
Off
and it
of,
sounds like Lorna Shore.
It does. I was gonna say
Yeah.
that. It's Lord, if I speak. I am not a fan of heavier Imminence.
Me either.
I think that they have some songs and moments where they do it really well, but this is a little too. Yes, absolutely. This is a little too Lorna Shore-y. Even as somebody who likes some Lorna Shore songs, it's just like, meh. Like I could have, it's fine, but I could have the other Imminence that I like better. So why would I? You know,
Yeah.
like
This song inspired a name change in the Discord for me.
really.
Yeah. You
Heavy
should-
Oh,
does not equal
because
Heavy
like,
does
this was
not
the
equal
song.
death.
Yeah.
Yeah, understandable. This is the first
feel
Eminem song that I have not added to my playlist in a long time. It's one of the. It's like I've talked about it a while. Like I've grown more accustomed to some heavier songs. Like I added some Knocked Loose and Alpha Wolf to my playlist last year. That is not something that was happening when we started this podcast.
No.
I have grown to like heavier music. I still have my limits, and this is beyond those limits of what I enjoy. This is one of those heavy metalcore songs that I kind of just stare at my screen,
This isn't a
and then it
metalcore
ends,
song.
and I just move on.
What are you
The
gonna say,
only
Justin?
Eminence song, the only Eminence song I have saved is Erased, and nothing from the last 2 albums has cracked it. I know Jacob just
You
died
killed
over
it.
there. But Death Shall Have No Dominion over here.
And I don't know. It just I feel like it falls into the trap of so many like Lorna and like that kind of melodic deathcore, like adjacent type music where it feels like, you know what, Jake? It's like you said. I'm just staring at my screen. Like it's not compelling enough.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we've got some violin, and like the violin is great. I mean, it's Imminence. The violin's always going to be great.
The
if it's
violin
present,
should be the
but
selling point for an Eminem song, but the song is so heavy on its own that the violin doesn't add anything.
it's just kind of boring. The violin
Yeah.
can't redeem it. I don't know.
So
I don't like this direction.
I'm curious to see how this plays live
I feel
because
like it's gonna fuck.
exactly. Like maybe that's what this is. This is a live song.
Maybe, yeah.
Spoiler for next month, they released another single and they're playing it as well.
Well, they dropped the deluxe.
Yes.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, for any vinyl collectors out there, even as somebody who didn't like super love the last album, it's the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, the Galaxy
like
thing.
I bought it so fast.
I'm waiting to see if they have it tomorrow, and if they don't, I'll go buy it.
Oh yeah, because if you could get it there and get it signed.
Exactly. And don't pay shipping.
Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah. Sorry. Sorry. Or, sorry.
Well, it's not from America.
Yeah,
It's from
it's
Sweden.
from.
Oh, true, it's from Sweden.
yeah.
Never mind.
It'll be like-
It'll
it'll
be
be like-
cheaper
Sorry.
because it's from Sweden, actually.
It'll be for like $10 shipping or something, so it's not crazy, but yeah, I'll tell you how it is next month with how it played out live.
I will say that if Imminence wanted to do like a super heavy borderline deathcore song, doing it on the deluxe is a fair play.
Yeah.
If you want to do it, and like I don't really feel like this would fit in anywhere on the black as like a part of the album experience. I mean, maybe you throw it somewhere in the middle and it would work.
It's in the
but
middle, I
don't know,
believe.
This feels like
on
very
the
much a deluxe song that Imminence wanted to do heavy for the sake of being heavy because they wanted to write something heavy. And yeah, I don't know.
It's
Not for me. I'm sure there's an audience for it. I've seen the YouTube reaction clickbait titles being, "Oh my god," with this song. So
It's between the cul-de-sac instrumental and the Call of the Void. I don't know if that means anything to you, but
Nope. All right. I think we're good to move on. I've got a new artist to talk about. I've actually been listening to for a while, but never have mentioned here on the podcast before. We have FKA Rain with brand new single Choke. Presumably off of an upcoming EP called Viscera coming out in March, but I haven't seen an official track list for it anywhere. But given that this just came out in February and the EP is in March, I have to assume that this is going to be on it. But don't quote me on that if we talk about the EP next month and it's not. So the funny story about FKA Rain is that I discovered this artist through my sister in one of her like pop playlists. And she has this song from a couple of years ago called Side Effect that is very dark pop Mothica coded. And I love Side Effect. Phenomenal song. And I've been following FKA Rain ever since my sister showed me Side Effect and like played it in the car that one day. I don't know, it's a little over a year. It was like, I want to say early last year, late 2023 at some point around then. And she's released a couple other songs since then that have all been decent, but this is the first one since Side Effect that I have really attached to. And there's a couple of things that I think make this song stand out. It's one of the heavier songs that she has put out. I wouldn't say the heaviest, but that like 2010s metalcore riff in the second verse, I fucking love it. It is so goddamn cool. I haven't heard a riff like that, especially on a song like this, in so long, and it makes me so happy every time it gets that like 10 seconds of the song with that guitar riff. But then you also get the really cool drumming in this song as well, where you just like the cymbal tapping, which like very much feels like a hardcore thing, but this is like a rock song. I don't know. I don't feel like I hear that sort of drumming in a song structured like this very often, and it's just really cool. But yeah, otherwise, just a really solid song if you like artists like Mothica and straying into the vein of heavier female solo artists. I'm struggling to come up with any, but like if we're talking bands like Conquer Divide, As Everything Unfolds, kind of in that sort of ballpark as well, I definitely think you should give this song and some of her other songs a listen as well.
It reminded me of that song that we talked about, I think last month. Maybe it was in the December recap where it was kind of like shoegazy. Do you remember what song that was, Jake? It was another female solo artist.
I'm going digging. Give me a second.
Because it reminded me a lot of that in terms of like I think it was maybe Violent
Vera. Yep,
yes.
That was last month.
There were some notes of that kind of grungy or airy kind of delivery in this that I really, really enjoyed. That type of sound, especially from female vocalists, is something that I love, and I really enjoyed this song. Definitely, you've given me a bunch of artists to go digging into.
Hell yeah.
So we'll see. I'd be interested to see how that EP comes out.
Yeah.
This is a very good sign. Great first introduction.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of all I have to say. Let's move on. Jacob, you got another song.
We got Land Mavarks with their new single Blood Red, who I will also be seeing tomorrow.
If there's any consolation for me not seeing Imminence yesterday, it's that Landmarks were not able to get their visas to play the Worcester show in time.
Yeah, but you missed Dreamwake.
I've already seen Dreamwake twice. It's
with
fine.
Brian Willie. Brian Willie came out.
Oh, he did.
Look at his face.
I do love that we support the boys, but we haven't like spoken with them. I forget the last time that we put them on the playlists.
Last year, October.
Last year,
was it last year?
It was like
I don't
October
remember
or
their last
something.
single.
Yeah, they just need to release more music. That's the solution.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So Land Mavarks.
I love how it's sticking. Yeah.
This is probably my second favorite of the singles.
Oh, what did I rank it?
I honestly think this is my favorite.
No, Creature still exists.
Although I've been like very much kind of out of this album cycle and just waiting for the album to drop. But I gave this one a listen on a whim and really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
It's not a super heavy Landmark sound, but it has like a really nice build to it, and that French verse is fantastic.
yeah, I've done like a total 180 on the French rapping, man.
It's so good.
It's so cool too. It's like nobody does it. So like this is the only place I can get it.
Yeah.
I mean, in
And
metal.
it almost feels like effort. It almost feels just effortless. Like in a song like this, it should feel maybe a little gimmicky, but the way that they've incorporated it into this and that interlude song, it feels just like effortless and like totally succinct with the sound that they're going for.
I think I'm at the point where I think their best songs are the ones that have the French rapping with the English chorus or English verse or something like that. Like it's just, like you said, so well integrated. It's so well done. This single has me excited for the album again. I was kind of indifferent, but now I'm like, okay, yeah, get me in there.
Yeah.
I'm still a big fan of Sulfur. That's probably still my favorite, but this is a very close second, I would say.
Hey, we all like a different one.
Yeah. Which could be a promising sign for the album. If all of us have something.
Yeah, we all like a different one.
All right, Justin likes Somber 16.
I like whatever
interlude.
that single that was it Suasion had a Landmarks feature.
Murphy's Law, banger.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like the one Landmark song that I like. And it's not a Landmark song.
You like
It's a
the
feature.
interlude. You like the interlude.
Okay.
This album comes out in April, I want to say. So
Yep.
we're probably going to get one more single before the album drop. I don't know if we'll talk about it. We'll see if and or when they drop another single.
I think I'm done with singles for this
but-
album now. They're gonna get a couple. They're at 1 million. Holy.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I
Like
like
if
more.
they're at 1 million, what are
They're
Imminence at? Okay, Imminence are at
800.
800,000. Interesting that Imminence are able to headline over Landmarks.
Yeah. Maybe they have. I bet Landmarks has more European.
Landmarks is probably way
friends.
bigger in
Or,
Europe. Yeah.
not friends, but
Friends.
friends.
Friends. Uh,
Fans.
Was the playlist order intentional on this to do like the before and after Wheel of Fortune type shit?
Blood red dress?
Somewhat. Justin, take it away.
Got Outsider Heart dropping their new single, Red Dress. My
This
single.
is
of the month.
Outsider Heart's best song in a while.
Yeah. I think it's the best song, period.
I
I'm
wouldn't go
inclined
that
to
far.
agree.
I wouldn't go that far, but it's definitely up there. Like the rest is kind of just special for me at this point. But thinking about songs they've released over the past few years, this is by far the one that I've resonated with the most. Huge chorus. It's got that like uplifting yet also somber energy to it. Yeah, I don't know. I spent quite a bit of time with it this month.
I showed it to a friend of mine, and she messaged me back 3 days later, and she's like, I have over 80 plays of this song now, you asshole. Why'd you show this to me? I'm like, yes.
It's a banger.
Got him.
Yep.
It's so good. I love this type of style. It's a style of music we haven't had a lot of. I feel like it kind of went away when Dead Lakes went quiet. And I'm glad to see it kind of up in the rise with Outsider Heart and some other bands that we'll talk about later in the playlist. But this is just really good. It got me to go back to listen to their 2022 EP, Entertainment EP. I forgot how good High was on there, but this as well is just phenomenal. I hope they done an EP every 3 years. No, they did one in 2021, 2022, and they haven't done an EP since. So I'd like to see an EP or an album sometime this year, but I don't know if we'll see it.
Either way, this is the most excited I've been about Outsider Heart in quite a while. So
I forgot they put out a song in January, so we might see something.
maybe.
Why do we have multiple songs with multiple names in the same playlist?
Why not?
We have 15 singles,
I don't know.
and 4 of them share titles.
Yeah, it's bizarre actually. For the second time this episode, we have a song called Choke by another new band for the podcast, Line So Thin. I discovered this band quite a while ago, and I've been quietly following them. This is the first time that I'm throwing them into the podcast. They have 5 songs out, and if you look at the numbers that they have, it's kind of insane. I don't know exactly how, but like their first song ever, Done With Everything, that they released in 2023 just has 6.5 million plays on Spotify.
Casually.
I remember I found this band because they showed up in my YouTube feed. I don't think it was that song. It was they had 4 songs out before this one, so it was one of the 4 that came before this. And yeah, I stumbled upon it on YouTube, and I was like, okay, this band is pretty good. And then I kind of forgot about them for a while, and then they showed up in my recommended again with Choke a couple weeks ago, and this time, whereas the first time I heard some of those other songs, I was like, okay, this band is pretty good. This one, I was like, wow, this is like actually really good. The guitar in this song is so funky and groovy, and the chorus just has a really fun melody to it. It's really fast, really upbeat, really energetic. And I also didn't remember this band being heavy, and you get an actual like harsh vocal breakdown in this song, which I was not expecting, because I remember them being more of just like a hard rock band, just making like doing the guitar, bass, drums, clean vocals all throughout. But happy to see them get a little bit heavier with this one as well. Almost reminds me of the Home Team.
I can kind of see that. I think the biggest comparison of that for me would be that the vocals don't necessarily always feel like they fit the instrumentals here. Like it's like heavier than I would expect, but it's not bad. It's just I wasn't expecting them to have like metalcore riffs and breakdowns in this at all.
Yeah.
It's my first exposure to the band, but this is really good. I
was looking back at their social media, and in less than a month of their debut single, they had almost 200,000 monthly listeners.
Jeez.
No idea where it came from.
Yeah. No idea. But hey, good for them.
Wild.
Yeah, I don't have too much more to say. Line So Thin, obviously doing well for themselves, still very early on into their career as a band. So hope to see an EP or an album from them at some point. Joke's a really good song. Highly recommend checking it out if you haven't heard of them yet. It brings us to our next song. Colorblind have dropped brand new single, Car Crash. You were kind of hinting at it, Justin, with like the Dead Lake sound kind of going away after Dead Lakes broke up. I think Colorblind are the new leaders of the Drivecore flag.
But they're not.
They
crashed.
The car. I mean,
get them a new car, damn it! They need to lead this genre.
Get them a new car.
Get them a van. They need a van. They're a touring band. They don't need a car. They need a van.
Are we calling it Vancore now?
Vancore. Is that what it is? Drivecore is dead. Long live Vancore.
Drivecore is dead. Long live Vancore. Long live Violence Against Nature Core.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, no. Needle Eye came out late last year, was a solid return for Colorblind, and then this is their first new song in 2025, and I think this is right on track with that kind of Sleeping with Sirens-esque higher pitched vocal sound. There is a couple of bands like Sleeping with Sirens, Picturesque, Colorblind, Dead Lakes, rest in peace, all doing that kind of sort of thing. But I think Colorblind are at this point doing it better and more consistent than any of those names that I just mentioned.
Agreed. They're killing it. Is there going to be an album?
They have said there's an album this year.
Okay. I'm very excited for that. Finally. I snubbed them from my... Let's see, what was it? Was it the 2022 EP?
Yeah.
I made the mistake of not listening to that till the January 2023 recap. And I would have had it in my top 5 EPs of the previous year if I'd have heard it in time. So I've snubbed them once, and I don't intend to do it again.
I think I like Needle Eye better. That song stuck with me more when I listened to this. It didn't really grab me. but who knows? Maybe in the context of an album, it'll change.
Maybe it's just the timing of the release, but I gravitated to this one much more than Needle Eye. I don't remember when Needle Eye released exactly, but it probably was one of those singles that just fell through the cracks of releasing on a really stacked weekend with other albums that I was just more into.
That was
But yeah.
August last year.
What was August last year?
Inertia.
Yep, probably fell under the
that'll do
Inertia
it.
shadow. Yep.
The second shadow.
Yes. Yep. Justin, you have another band to.
I
stretch
got
here,
a few.
actually.
I got a few. We got Leave coming back with their new single "Pull the Tooth" off of their upcoming debut album called "The Cost of Compromise," dropping April 4th.
About damn time that they
Right?
announce and/or drop the album. According to Spot, we are 8 singles in at this point on Spotify, and I have heard all of them. So
I haven't heard
yay.
a lot of them in a while.
That's true. I also haven't heard a lot of them in a while.
The one I went back to was "Longing to Believe," because forgot the feature for that.
I
Was
think
similar to
Dead
one off of-
Dreams or When I'm Gone are the ones that I remember. So even though that we have heard most of them as singles, the fact that a lot of them haven't had a ton of staying power, I don't think is going to make a difference for us when the album drops in about a month.
This is really good.
Yep.
This is like probably up the upper echelon of what they've released for this album cycle.
Yeah, every time this band drops a song, I'm reminded that this band is actually really good. And then I add it to my playlist, and then I'll listen to it like 2 times and then just move on to next week's releases and forget that this band exists. Which is really sad because like a lot of their music is really good, and this is just another great example of a small up and coming post-hardcore band with phenomenal clean vocals and a really like soulful energy to them that I feel like doesn't have the attention that they deserve at this point. They haven't gotten the recognition that I feel like other bands of a similar quality have been getting. So hopefully the debut album brings some more attention to them. I do think that we've been following them for quite a few years at this point. I do think they have been growing since we first discovered them, which is cool to see. They definitely deserve it, but I still feel like this band should be pushing like 100K monthly listeners, honestly.
Yeah, agreed. There are 3 unreleased songs on the album that we haven't heard.
Well, time will tell. I'm sure we'll be discussing the album in our April recap when that comes out. So
No doubt.
Yeah. Another album we'll be talking about is Magnolia Park, dropping a new single, "Worship," off of their upcoming album, Vamp. Which I don't remember the release date for that. Is that also in April? That is a week after Leave. God,
awesome.
April's stacked already.
This is why we
Yeah,
need to
what?
enjoy the shorter month while we have it.
Yes.
Yeah, April we have what Landmarks, Leave and Magnolia Park now, and I'm sure there's other things that I'm forgetting as well.
Yeah, there's probably a few more.
Yeah.
This fucks.
I didn't like this as much as the lead singer. I still think this is good. I think I maybe got my expectations a little too high when I saw the Vanna feature. Because I saw that Vanna feature and I was like, oh, wait, Magnolia Park might be cooking. And I think Vanna's feature is great. I feel like this is the first time Magnolia Park themselves have dropped the ball a little bit in a while. Like, it's good. It's just not excellent
Yeah.
to the way that songs like Void or Shallow were.
Well, Void's not on the album. Shallow
Doesn't
is.
matter, the song still bang. And it's a recent release.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I think this is very good. I'd say it's better than Cult, but not better than Shallow, because nothing can top that currently. But this is a very, very good track for how the album is gonna sound. With these 3 singles, the album is off to like a very, very good start.
Oh yeah, for
I'm
sure.
trying to get a track list. I had it and then I lost it because I'm a moron. Here we go. Okay, yeah, it's 11 tracks. We've only heard 3. Not bad.
No more.
Yeah.
You're cut off.
That's how it should be. Three and done, or maybe like one that drops like 2 days before the album.
Yeah.
I think we may get the pink noise feature this month if they're dropping all the features as singles. But with it being so close, I wouldn't expect it. They may drop it like a week before the album or something. So we'll see.
This is another album that we will be discussing in our April recap, so
Yeah.
stay tuned for that.
It's gonna be a long
Not,
one.
I don't want to steal your transition here, Justin, but this next band also really needs to announce an album, and ideally in April.
Yeah, we got Further Within dropping their single, also titled Never Enough. Going back and listening to all of Further Within's singles, they've just got phenomenal talent.
They don't miss. They don't miss.
Yeah, they've got a good range too. If you go back and listen to all three of the songs that they have linked currently with Never Within, there's a good mix. You got like a really good slower song with Never Enough. Temptations, much more heavier
Heavy,
and
yeah.
more electronic based, and Tunnel Vision is kind of a mix with the two. But Never Enough is really a good showing of how they can slow it down, but also not make a somber song or like a ballad or something. This is definitely much more catching of the attention of, you know, a wider audience more than like a ballad.
Yeah, I didn't like this as much as Tunnel Vision or Temptation, but it's still just a really, really good song. And as I said when I stole your transition, like I need this band to announce an album or an EP, and whichever category they release, it is going into some end of year list at this point. Like almost guaranteed, it feels like.
Yeah, I had them as my top out artist discovered last year, and it's definitely holding up.
Continuing to age very well.
Very, very much so. Not much more to really say on that. It's just really good metalcore from a band that has, damn, they have 40,000 monthly listeners.
Really? Only?
Yeah, only.
That ain't right.
They should be pushing 100K at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Last one of the train that I've got for you all, Nth Road have dropped their new single, Pushing Away. I assume this is off an upcoming EP or album because the artwork is the same as the
Yeah, the
last couple of
artwork's all-
singles.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm not vibing with this much as much as I was with Embrace, but it's still a really good song. I think similar to how I feel with Further Within that we just finished talking about. Never Enough, not my favorite song in comparison to the last two, but by no means does that mean that the current song we're talking about is bad.
No. I also think this one strays more into like a punk style, more than like a alt rock style that I'm quite familiar with Nth Road. I would say this falls on the lesser end of the singles that have released. Embrace is still my favorite. It's still in my on repeats, so it's still sticking with me. I did really like this song though. They made a post on their Instagram. It was dedicated to a friend of theirs, and the message is definitely very much coded in that way. The lyrics, I had it all, and still it means nothing to me. Just don't know what I'm meant to believe. All I wanted was the clarity to just get my mind. Still, I'm standing here all on my own. I am loved, and I still feel alone. In the end, all I want to know is how to feel fine. And they said a lot more on the Instagram post, but I think that really brings the greater message of this song in a way, even though the song itself doesn't, you don't really take away from that, especially with like the energy. It's not like it's like the last song that we just talked about. It's not a slower song. It's still like an upbeat, almost like punk rock style song, but leaning into the lyrics more, there's definitely like a greater message. And I do think this band is very talented with how they write and the instrumentation that they do for it.
This is another one of those bands that I feel like I need to stop listening to singles for, because I feel like again, similar to Leave, like every time they drop a new song, I really like it, and then I never listen to it again. Just like I feel like this is the type of band that I need to see like a stretch of 5 Nth Road songs in a row in my playlist to be like, oh, I'm gonna just spin that. But just releasing singles, this is unfortunately one of those bands that has fallen through the cracks, even though they are very talented.
Yeah, agreed. On the talented part, not the falling through quacks. You're correct on that.
Quacks.
Yes.
Quacked.
There's ducks here.
Lisp. All right, that's all I got for this train.
We got Starset with new single Dark Things. And I've enjoyed this song. I think it's not necessarily like anything new for them in terms of sound, but I really think I think it's better than Dystopia, but I also think it's not as good as the other 3 singles. But I still enjoy this, and I think it's a solid single. I'm just sad we haven't got an album announcement or whatever they're doing. That being said, like I enjoyed it more than Dystopia. I haven't really given it a lot of time. I guess it came out on the same day as another album we're going to talk about, but I really want to give this song more time, but I just haven't. I really enjoy it. I think I'd say it doesn't sound necessarily new for Starset, but it kind of, the tone is a little, I guess, darker, hence the name.
Yeah.
More mysterious.
It gave me a very Carnivore, maybe a Ricochet type feeling when I listened to it. It felt very familiar to what Starset has done previously compared to like the other tracks that they've dropped for this record cycle. I liked the music video for this. I think the music video added to my enjoyment because I would go whenever I would go back and listen to the song specifically, I would listen to the music video, which is very good. It's animated. It's very well done. And I like the message in the song. It's really good. I like you. I wish I had more time with it, but currently, like as of right now, none of the singles have really like cracked Brave New World for me. So I'm kind of just waiting for the album at this point. Or
I'm
EP,
surprised we
record is
didn't
gonna
get
be.
an announcement either. Which makes me really sad because we're 5 singles in and it's no announcement. Thing about Starset though is they usually have longer albums. So 5 singles might be okay if they have a 16-track album.
Yeah, true.
How many singles was the last album?
I don't remember.
I want to say like 16 or something like that.
It was 16 songs, but I don't know how many singles it was.
Oh.
We had, if we count Infected, which was for a game.
I'd count that.
There was...
That was for Arc Knights. I know that. I still play that game.
I think there were 4. I think it was close. 4 or 5. I would expect maybe with the next single, there's gonna be an album announcement at some point.
I hope so. I'm pretty, see, like the artwork for this, it's like none of them, I don't think any of the other single artwork had the Starset logo like front and center. So I was thinking, no, this is
theory that this is the album art.
It could be,
and they just haven't announced it yet.
It could be. I cannot confirm nor. It's a hunch. It could be. It like the Division's album artwork was like this, but white. There's like the opposite. So
It would fit with the story that they're going for.
yeah. Well, I'll have to see.
Yeah, to air my thoughts real
Uh,
quick, since I haven't said anything about the song itself, I think it's really cool. This definitely to me feels like the type of song that will excel in a bigger release,
Yes.
presumably an album.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where Starset excels the most is in the album format, not as singles. But we'll see, I guess. Yeah, I listened to it a couple of times. It's a really cool song. That's kind of all I have to say.
I think they've been playing it at their acoustic shows they've been doing lately. Don't quote me on that, but pretty
I
sure
was
they're on an
considering
acoustic
going to that.
tour. Oh, you should have. It'd be so cool.
It's April 4th, so I might. Depends
I
if
think
a
they're all
friend wants to
sold
go with me.
out. I don't know though.
Yeah, I'm
Just
probably
check
gonna
to
say
see.
scalp tickets, but we'll see.
No.
All right, we're down to our final two singles for this month. We have my last single for the month, Hot Milk, have released a brand new song, 90 Seconds to Midnight, and have also announced upcoming album called Corporation Pop, which releases June 27th. Almost a birthday album. Let's go.
One of your favorite bands.
For one of my favorite bands. Yep. Let me figure out, because I wrote it down somewhere, what pop stands for, because it means something.
Oh, it's like an acronym type deal?
Yes, it's an acronym. I need to find it. Where is it? POP means payment of pain.
Nice.
So we will see what that turns into when the full album drops. So yeah, new album from Hot Milk. Obviously, A Call to the Void, one of my favorite albums ever. My album of the year 2023. Very excited for this. This single is not connecting with me in the same way that the lead singles for A Call to the Void were, with H.E.R.O and Bloodstream. Just especially H.E.R., just immediately from the moment I first heard it, just got my attention and just had me like addicted, spinning it on repeat. I've listened to this song a handful of times. It's Hot Milk. It's one of my favorite bands. Like, I'm gonna spend time with it, but I don't feel like I've been spending as much time with it as I should be, given how much I love this band. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this album cycle turns out. I might save the rest of the singles for the album. I don't know, probably not, but either way, I'm very excited for it. Obviously, it's the follow up to one of my favorite albums of the past few years. So, very excited to hear this. I'm assuming I'm going to get to hear this live when Hot Milk play North America next month in April. So, hoping to hear this one live along with a bunch of my other favorites. But yeah, I'm not resonating with this one as much as I was with the lead singles for the last album, but ultimately, I just really enjoy Hot Milk. So I think when it shapes together in the album, I'm going to be having a grand time anyway.
I liked how heavy this got. I was a big fan of this kind of angrier. I know we got it on the previous album,
Yeah.
but definitely when they lean into the aggression, I think is something that they should expand on, and I hope that they expand on a little bit more with this album. This has me hopeful. I mean, I really, really enjoyed that previous album. I think it was like my number 14 or something. I don't know, but
barely missed your
it had
top
a
10,
shot. It had a
basically.
shot, yeah. And I listened to it a lot when it came out. So I'm still on board at the Hot Milk hype train with this single. Hopefully it'll pay off come June, but they've got a lot of time between now and then to prove themselves or not.
Yep.
We'll see.
Yep. All right, Justin, you have the last single of the playlist here.
Yeah, my one new band of the playlist. We got Blind Love dropping their single Armageddon.
Wait, rare. I added more new bands to the podcast than Justin.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that earlier, but
Wow.
I almost forgot that I added a new band, but this kind of came in late. When I was reviewing the playlist, I looked at the song suggestions, and this song popped up as a recommended to add to the playlist. So I listened to it, and it was very much different from a lot of stuff that we have in the playlist. It's very much kind of almost stadium-esque, but
It's
with kind
really
of
cool.
This fucks.
like a dark rock style. Yeah, it's very good. I was not expecting that like harsher scream toward the end. I thought it really added to the song. Um, yeah, this is very good. I forget if I didn't see if this was attached to anything, but as far as I'm aware, it's just one guy doing it
Really?
with like a band. Um, he's worked with bands like The Used and Sleeping with Sirens, so he's got like a repertoire. So he's pretty talented.
It's two guys.
Is it two?
It's
Okay.
Brogan Kelby and Michael Mervine from Salt
Shout
Lake
out
City,
to them.
Utah.
Shout out. Because they're killing it. I don't know if this is a bigger release, but I definitely feel like it is very much different than a lot of the songs we had on the playlist. And I
Mm.
felt it was a very good ad toward the end.
Yeah, that perfect
Yeah.
mix of vibey and heavy. I think this is probably my favorite single of the month. So shout out Spotify auto recommend. I'm definitely
Wow.
gonna be
Hell
going
yeah.
down a rabbit hole.
Am I off base
Thanks.
here, or can we add Blind Love into the Vancore van?
Off of this song alone, I would be willing to give them an entry pass, but we have to
Yeah.
find out, is this a one time? Are they a fake? Do they have the drive
Mm.
core mask on and then we go deeper and it's no?
We aren't
Find
talking
out.
about them officially, but Justin, you introduced us all to Alchemize this month with Red Lights.
Yeah.
That song would get on the Vancore van. I don't know if the rest of their discography does.
We'll be talking about them next month, but they were definitely my band of the month to find, and my Spotify numbers are in shambles because of it.
Well, that's a tease for next month. Subscribe and follow and whatever, like I said at the beginning of the episode. But that takes us to our EPs and albums. We have one EP, 3 albums. And Justin, I know you've been looking forward to this first one for a while. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, technically, I've had this one for a while, but it released on Spotify last month. So, Soft Spoken, if I can speak, holy shit, dropped their
That's not
EP.
soft spoken.
Dropped their EP, Martyr.
I would have laughed, but I unfortunately went to take a sip of water at the exact time you fumbled your words.
That means I didn't tell a good enough joke. You should have spit out your
Probably.
water.
No, I was talking to Justin when he originally fumbled. Sorry, no disrespect to you, Jacob.
So
I
I wasn't funny at all. Not even a little bit.
I wanted to make fun of my friend Justin in particular for fumbling the words.
I
Anyway,
appreciate you thought of me before doing a spit take. This EP fucks.
Yep.
I did a short of this when it dropped, but this is just a really good mix of all different styles of post-hardcore mixed with rock, kind of hard rock style, metalcore almost. It all just really fits well together.
Yeah, for me, like this released as 7 separate singles, and as 7 separate singles, similar to what I was saying with Nth Road earlier, like most of them just kind of fell through the cracks. Like they're good songs, I'll listen to them, have a good time with them, but they were never songs that I would continually go back to and play on repeat. But group them together in 7 songs like this, and I am all over it. Like The Way You Look at Me is fantastic. Throw Your Roses and I Against Me are great. Love Talk is the final song on here. Also great. Oblivion, I think, is the only one that I haven't resonated with that much, but everything else on here is great, and this is definitely my favorite soft-spoken release that I've heard.
Yeah, I think this is the first release that they've had where I like every single song and like have gone back to individually. Some not more than others. Like I really didn't listen to Invincible a lot when it dropped. One because I already had the EP at that point. They released the EP technically back in November when they did like their whole journey type thing, trying to explain all the songs. I personally feel like I don't know how long into when the songs were being released that the concept of the EP was becoming a thing. So I don't know how much they attach to one another, but there's a deeper message to each of the songs, and you can go check the band's page if you want to follow along and understand how that works. But the songs in general are just phenomenal. My favorite still is Alone. It is very much Justin coded, and I do not apologize. Um, The Way You Look at Me is also very good. Um, like Jake, I would say Oblivion's probably like my least played, but that's just due to like the nature of the song itself. It's not like on. It's not because it's bad or anything.
Yeah, I wish I had more to say, but given the way that this released, I think going forward, Soft Spoken are another band that I might have to stop listening to singles for, just because I absolutely would have spent way more time with all these songs had I heard them all for the first time this past month.
Yeah.
And it's no disrespect to the band. That's a knock on my listening habits, if anything.
But hey,
That's
they're
how I
getting
listen to music.
Sirius XM plays through test
Really?
drive now.
Oh, hell yeah.
What, like on Octane?
Deserved.
I think Invincible is getting thrown in the test drive now.
Hell yeah.
It's them. I think Take the Name is also no
Mm.
Everest.
Oh.
Everest is getting serious. A lot of bands that we like started talking about around the same time are getting
Yeah, I was
Sirius
gonna say,
XM test drive.
I would lump them all in like the same kind of Justin bucket.
Hell yeah.
That means that, you know what? That's what needs to happen is Sirius Octane
We're gonna
needs to
sell a
hire
bucket.
you. No, no. I'm saying they need to hire you. You're finding all these bands that they're
I'll take
getting
it.
on there. But no,
It's in my LinkedIn.
hit them with it. God, fucking LinkedIn. I was gonna say, can we talk about how bad LinkedIn is? But then I realized that is so I've lost the plot entirely.
The plot is no longer in you.
No, but my Diet Dr. Pepper is.
This sounds nasty.
Nah, bro. Look, it's the pink and black can.
Are you talking
and
about the
pink and
band or
black
the
koozie.
drink?
The drink.
Mm-mm. Have you never had a Diet Dr. Pepper?
I've had Dr. Pepper Zero.
Do we have Dr. Pepper Zero in the
Yes.
States? We do. I knew there's Coke
Yeah.
Zero.
I don't-
here. I've never
I don't.
seen.
Diet
It's like
Dr.
that
Pepper is
black
hard to
label.
find.
I'm gonna see myself out.
Mm.
Jake's
Yeah,
got his
milk-
milk on
milk
on
boy
the
over
wall
here.
there. Literally
He
on the
does,
wall.
Can't escape the allegations.
Nope.
Fucking milk boy.
Gosh.
God dang it. Anyway, soft spoken, great band. I would say it's worth a listen.
Yeah, it's very good. Jake needs to apologize to the chef now.
Chef.
Yeah, sorry, I have the diet of a 12-year-old child, and that's even being a little generous. Up next, we have a band that we have not talked about in a minute. We have Winona Fighter, who have dropped their debut album. My apologies to the chef.
I
We
get
talked
it now.
about I'm in the Market to Please No One as a single around a year ago now.
Yep.
Derek, thanks to you for that one.
You're welcome.
And I stopped listening to the singles late last year for this album, and I am so glad I did. Because I was all over this album all month. And
Nice.
with that being said, I think my general standpoint of this album as a whole is it's biased to being better than I think it actually is, because some of the singles on here are just that good that I've been going back to them for weeks on end at this point, but there's also a number of songs on here that have been a little forgettable. And I think because I've been just listening to my favorite songs on here for the most part and have gotten those stuck in my head, I think the album as a whole is better than it actually is, forgetting that some of the songs on here are a little underwhelming. But even with that minor criticism, this is without a doubt one of my favorite albums I've heard all year so far, and one that I absolutely did not expect to be nearly as good as it is.
This is probably the strongest argument. We talk a lot about with the whole new structure of, oh well, we need to release like 8 singles for an album because that's how the algorithm works, and we give up and stop listening after like 4 or 5. Like, to me, this is the strongest case in recent memory of don't listen to the singles for an upcoming album.
With that being said, had I heard Wilburn Street Tavern and Hams in a Glass going into this album, I think I would have been way more excited. Because those are like
Yeah.
2 of my favorite songs on here. They were released as singles, and like, had I had those 2 singles to go off of, I probably would have been excited going into every single dropped for this album just because of how strong those 2 songs are.
I really appreciate how little of a fuck this album gives.
Yeah, that's one of the points I was going to make. Has there ever been an angrier non-metalcore album that we've talked about on the podcast?
I don't think so. I think the closest like don't give a fuck energy that we've ever had would be Stand Atlantic.
I was
And-
going to say this album is if you took Molotov and made Molotov 14 times over.
Yeah. Well, what I appreciate is that it's so aggressive and raw. Like, for me,
Yeah.
like that scream of frustration in Are You Famous is just like, yeah, you know what? I'm pissed off and I'm going to scream and yell about it. And it's going to go into the album recording. And I don't care because it fits the vibe of the song and the album as a whole so well. I think the biggest selling point, and I don't know the vocalist's name, and I'm going to see if it's on Spotify really quickly. And it's Coco. Okay. Coco, you can tell from this album that she is confident in knowing who she is and like how well she knows herself. Because the commentary on this album, like just about the people around her or about herself, is so confident. And because she's so confident and because the lyrical content is so confident and raw, it kind of allows her to really lean into like the don't give a fuck energy, the rawness, that I'm going to say exactly how I feel about this situation or about this person. And if they don't like it, they can fuck off. Like that's one of the biggest takeaways about this album, I feel like, is confidence and having that confidence to be yourself.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I hadn't thought about like using confidence as a way to describe this album, but this album screams literally confidence.
I mean,
at
she's
times.
in the market to please nobody. Like, it's
yeah. Like, I have a bunch of lyrics written down for like some of my favorite deliveries of just like that raw energy. Hams in a Glass, that opening line of "Got pull over and I'm getting closer to blowing my fucking brains."
Yup.
Phenomenal. But then you get like some quieter moments as well. Like again, Hams in a Glass, I'm a little stressed out, just a little stressed out. Is anybody else stressed out? Like, I really like that. The Jesus Christ and I'm in the market to please no one. We've talked about it when we talked about it as a single, is really good. But I think the lyric that has stuck with me the most, I believe, is in Are You Famous? And it's the bridge where it goes, "Stop, just listen. I know all the things thought I wouldn't see. You said it and meant it, regret it you don't. Men take it back, cowards keep throwing stones. And my home has never been glass. Unlike your bones, weak like your spine, I'll save you the face, I'll save you the hurt. Remember my name till you sleep in the dirt."
Banger.
Fuck you. Oh, it's so confident. It is so angry. It is so cathartic.
Yes,
I don't have anyone to direct this anger towards in my life at the moment, but I listen to it and I feel good because I am releasing anger that is bent up into the air. It doesn't, like, I'm not directing any of my anger and frustrations with the world at anyone, but this album lets me take that energy that I build up and just stomp it out if I need to. Headbang. I don't know. It's just, I haven't heard an album quite like this in a while.
No, absolutely.
If ever.
I think too, part of it in being so like aggressive at times is her delivery is also like very nonchalant. Like she doesn't give a fuck, but she's not like pushing it on you. Like it's very like vibey's not the the right
Yeah,
word,
no,
but
it's
the
it's
delivery
not
just
vibey.
flows. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a hard balance to strike with this kind of music, and especially with, I would say it's fair to label this punk rock.
Yeah,
That punk
definitely.
generally doesn't have that kind of delivery, but it's this great combo between grit and nonchalantness, and this whole album, we've been talking about the delivery on the vocals, but instrumentally too is so solid. There's so many great riffs on here. The drumming keeps the
The
pace
guitar
up
solo and
phenomenally.
I keep going back to
Yes.
Hands in a Glass.
Hands
It's
in a
my
Glass.
favorite.
It's a banger. What can we
so
say?
good. It's so good. But also the guitar at the beginning of Wilburn Street Tavern, just that like immediately into the song. The
Mhm.
I'm gonna do it how I want it and how I whatever the fuck that lyric says. Another thing about that song, I love how at the end of it they bleep fuck. It's
Yeah.
like and they bleep it, but then the next time they do it, they don't bleep it. It's
That's
just, it's such
yeah.
it's like an unnecessary touch, but it's so funny and awesome.
Yeah, it's an artistic choice that I really appreciate. Another thing to add to the charm and kind of quirkiness a little bit of this
Charm,
album.
yes.
That would be the biggest Stand Atlantic comparison that I would
Mhm.
take, that like, especially when they were Pink Elephant, like Fuck Everything and Run era, where it
Mhm.
just truly seemed like they were making music that expressed who they were and how they were feeling, and they were doing whatever they wanted in order to express that. Like, I get that same exact vibe from this
Mhm.
album. Cathartic was a word that I hadn't put to it, but it's perfect. The
This is
fact that,
cathartic punk rock.
yes, you can bring your own like catharsis of releasing that energy onto this album, but the fact that you can feel it so strongly from her is,
Impressive.
it's talent. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, to your point about some of these being a little more like forgettable, or that they don't shine as much, like certain songs on here, as some of the stronger ones. I think that I would agree with that in terms of some of these being a little more like overtly playlistable. But in terms of the album as a whole, I don't know if I per se. And I think it's because of just how much like this feels like a personal album
Mm.
that's like expressing certain feelings. Like I think there's a place for every single song on here. I don't think that anyone necessarily outshines another. I think that they all do everything well in their own right. But there are definitely stronger songs on here. Like you said, Hams in a Glass, I'm in the Market to Please No One, Wilburn Street Tavern. I think my favorite might be Swimmer's Ear.
That's one of my least favorites on the album, actually.
Okay, yeah. Well, we had to
So,
find somewhere to
that checks-
disagree
yeah,
on
that checks
this.
out,
Yeah.
yeah.
Knowing
Yeah,
us, there was no way we could be in agreement about everything.
It's the opening two songs, Jumper Cables and You Look Like a Drunk Phoebe Bridgers. They're both fine. And then Swimmer's Ear and then Johnny's Dead. Everything else I think is great. Those four, just when I go back into my playlist to listen to songs off of this album, every time I listen to those, it's just, they're good, but the punk energy and anger and confidence that I get on songs like Hams in a Glass, in Are You Famous, I'm in the Market to Please No One, Attention, Warden Street Tavern, Swear to God That I'm Fine. I'm not getting that in the opening two tracks. I'm not getting that out of Swimmer's Ear. It's there, but I'm not resonating with it as much for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing about it is that Jumper Cables and Don't Wallow, I need some more time with them as an opener and closer, respectfully, because they don't have like as overt opener and closer energy.
I think Don't Wallow has closer energy.
Oh, it definitely does. Just not, I don't know. I guess with an album that had this much energy, I was definitely expecting something maybe a little bit more overt to me. But I mean, it's still, like you said, it does have closer energy. It's a good closer. I think by nature of the album being so strong everywhere else, I would like a bit of a, at least for me personally, stronger opener and closer. But at the same time, like, both work well. I think with more time, I'll come to appreciate it, because I only listened to this album, I think, 3 times at this point, because I was gone for half of February. But this, I'm in the Market to Please No One was the only single I really listened to, and I'm very glad that I did. I would not be surprised if you or I were talking about this at the year. I mean, I don't know what the rest of the year holds, but this punk, I'm never, the thing that makes this so special for me is I'm not a big fan of punk rock. Like, all things considered, I've always,
on the whole, we've been doing this podcast for 5 years. This is like one of the first punk, like truly punk rock albums we've ever discussed.
I think the closest might be the Drag
closest
Under album.
Yeah, Dragged Under. I was just thinking going all the way back to Silverstein's album in 2020
Ah, yeah.
with like
mhm.
Infinite and Shapeshift, that sort of sound. Like we don't talk about music that sounds like this very often. It's like very guitar rock based, but this is not the typical type of sound or band or genre that we discuss. But Winona Fighter, there's something about their sound that just works.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, so yeah, I think to wrap up, I think if there's any weakness to the album, it is the opener and closer, as you mentioned. They aren't like standouts compared to some of the other songs on here. But even with my criticisms of some of the songs in the middle falling like a little flat and not being super memorable, you listen to this album front to back, and I'm having a great time, even with the underwhelming songs in the mix. It's just when I'm going
Absolutely.
back to individual songs on their own, they don't give me that energy that I've become accustomed to with my favorites on this album. But yeah, this was a very pleasant surprise. Cross it off. Winona Fighter debut album.
Bingo.
Would love to hear some of these songs live one day.
Oh, absolutely. I the aggression and energy in some of these, I need to be there to experience it.
Yeah.
Justin or
Takes
Jacob,
us
did either of you get?
to. Oh, I'm assuming the answer is no, so I was
No.
ready to move on.
No.
As I was saying, takes us to our second album for the episode. Justin, I'm gonna hand this one over to you since I've been talking a lot.
Yeah, we got H.E.R.O with their new album, Ghost of You. I think this is their best album. I haven't gone
I would
back
agree.
to
Really?
Bad Blood, was it? Their album in 2020.
I
didn't
listened
go
to that
back-
once and thought it was very okay. I don't remember much from it.
I like listened to it once, saved a couple of songs, but hadn't gone back to it since I saved those. Alternate Realities I thought was really good.
Mm-hmm.
At the time. I would say going
At the time.
back, I would say it still holds up for that year because that year wasn't too high for me, 2022. But as far as going into this year, it's definitely a really good album to like start the year off. One of the criticisms I have for H.E.R.O, and I think they played it really well into this album as a whole, is it's the same issue I have with Suasion, where, and I guess Frenny in some cases, but where the vocal dynamics don't really change all that much. And you kind of hear it in a lot of the songs where the delivery is kind of very samey. There's a couple of them that almost sound like they were songs back in alternate realities. Specifically to me, I had Chemicals, Misaligned, and Euphoria. Those, it was really hard for me to kind of separate those songs from previous albums. But as a whole, I think they played really well into that and leveled up their instrumentation. Uh, Razor Sharp and Goddess are probably my two favorite songs from H.E.R.O at this point. Just because Razor Sharp, you get a really good heavier instrumentation that then slows down toward the end and picks right back up almost like at the same but almost like an elevated pace to it. The tone shift works really well. The chorus and Goddess is super
It's
well
so
done
good.
and
Yeah.
super catchy. I really liked the closer, End of Us. I think it was a really good closer. It's not one of those closures that we kind of rag on a little bit. That's much more slower paced and kind of takes it away from the album. I think it really fits with the album as a whole. Um, Given my criticisms, I still think this is probably their best work. Just given everything that they've put out. Even though I probably can go back to alternate realities and maybe listen to that more in full than Ghost of You, I still think it's really good.
Yeah, I think my favorite song by H.E.R.O is still Monster featuring Mosomani of Ad Infinitum. I obviously am a really big fan of Ad Infinitum, so that feature was always going to elevate that song a ton. But Alternate Reality is as an album, like it was good, it was fine. just not super memorable. And I think it was almost a little bit carried by the features. Like you had the Melissa Bonney feature that I've already mentioned, but you also had the feature on Lead the Blind with Philip Strand of Normandy, which was a really good song. And those were the two songs that I kind of remember the most from that album. Whereas this album is all H.E.R.O and only them, no features on this album. And I think it excels. There's a lot of really memorable songs on here. I love the opening with the beginning as like an opening interlude into Razor Sharp. And then Ghost of You, we talked about it last month, I think. Really solid single, probably my favorite song on here, but Goddess as well. It's a really strong opening to the album. It's like once you get to the back half of the album, I'm less interested. I didn't really resonate with End of Us as a closer all that much. And like it's all good, but really it's the opening couple of songs on this album, even like Halo and Chemicals as singles, I've grown to appreciate more in the context of the album. Like I added them to my playlist as singles, they fell through the cracks. Re-listening to them on the album here were better than I remembered. So even though I think my favorite song by H.E.R.O is still from their last album, I think this album on the whole is a more enjoyable listening experience and more memorable. So shout outs to them for leveling up. It's obviously been like close to 3 years since that last album, so it's been a minute, but yeah, this is I don't think this is something I'm taking with me to the end of the year, but this is definitely a band that has leveled up their game in 2025.
Yeah, I agree.
I did not have the chance to listen to this because of vacation, but I listened to the first like 4 songs, and what I heard was really good. So I'm very interested to get into this, hopefully in March.
The main issue is if you listen to the first 4 songs, there really isn't much difference.
Oh. Well, I like the first 4, so
You'll like it. It's just kind of like where it's at. It's like you're not gonna get anything new from it, but what it is, it's very good.
Do you think it'd be better as an EP? Like take the best songs and.
Ooh. I might say yes to that actually.
Split them up, yes. I would say split them up, maybe vary up the songs a little bit. I would say as it is right now, it's a good album, but could have been better if it was split up and maybe given a bit more breathing room. Although the singles that they had released, I really didn't vibe with all that much. So it is what it is. I would say if the singles that had dropped were an EP on its own, I probably wouldn't be too high on it. I probably would say it was more of the same. And then throw the non-singles on an EP on its own, I'd probably say it was better than that.
So. Yeah, I think a lot of the non-singles on here are really good. Even like, admittedly, the singles did get a lot better in the context of the album.
Yeah.
But I think the best songs on here generally are the non-singles, which is a treat because oftentimes you'll go into an album knowing what your favorite song is already. So it's cool to go into an album and be surprised with like, oh wow, I wasn't expecting a song like Razor Sharp or Goddess to be as good as they are.
Agreed. It's very easy to listen to.
Yeah, if you like post-hardcore a la Caskets, this band is worth checking out.
Agreed.
That takes us to our final album for the month of January, and I feel like this discussion might get a little controversial because this band can't really escape it. So we have Architects with their brand new album, The Sky, the Earth, and All Between. Up to this point in 2025, I would say definitely the biggest album release of the year. Like just on name alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having heard the singles, all of us in varying degrees, I know at some point, I don't think we all heard the same singles. Did it meet, exceed, or fall short of expectations, would you say?
I would say exceed.
Exceed.
I would agree.
So should we get started with the opener then, Elegy?
Yes. What's that face
That's
for?
The weakest
Elegy?
song on the album.
Are you kidding me? It's
Elegy
so
is my second
cool.
favorite. Elegy is my second favorite. Elegy genuinely had the potential to be like top 10 song of the year if the build into the opening guitar riff was an electronic breakdown instead. Like if you turn Elegy into an EDM song, the shit is so fire. But it's Architects, so it's metalcore.
But I mean, it could have been though, because what is that song later in the album that starts off with like an electronic sound effect? I'm
Judgment
blanking
Day?
because I've only heard. I think it's Judgment Day,
That's the Judgment Day.
which is like okay, that gave me, which in my opinion is the best song on the album, if I'm stating it there. But I think I agree with you. That just brings me to one of my early points. I feel like there are a lot of good electronic elements on here. I wish there were more.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Architects,
Anyway.
they overcompensated with the heaviness and forgot about the electronics.
Well, so I know that especially me, but Jacob, you as well, weren't necessarily as high on the classic Symptoms of a Broken Spirit. I think that it would be easy to say, even Jake, I know you like that album for the most part. This is a good course correction in the right direction. Like I would say this is a step up from classic Symptoms.
I think this is like it's almost similar in like style to that album. Like it's heavier than the previous or sorry, the one before that. For those that wish to exist. But it's almost like a combination of the two where it tones down the heaviness a little and you get more melodic and, as you said, electronic.
Yeah, what I said in my quick little 60-second review that I did the day it dropped was that I think Architects found a really good middle ground between the last two albums. You have the heavier moments on For Those That Wish to Exist. You get a lot of Sam's Queen singing getting better on the classic Symptoms of a Broken Spirit. And you take the best elements of both of those, and I think this is the album that you get for it. I did say at the time, I think that I still enjoy the classic Symptoms of a Broken Spirit more because I am not the biggest fan of Sam's gutturals that are way more prevalent on this album. Whereas on the classic Symptoms, you still had heavier moments on like Be Very Afraid or No Moral Low Ground, but you didn't have any of those super low gutturals. Whereas they are present on a lot of songs on this album that kind of, I don't want to say ruin, but for my taste personally, I would have enjoyed the songs more without them. But I think I've come around to this album I would probably say this is the better album.
I want to.
It's close though.
Oh,
like I know a lot of fans will say that last album was shit garbage, but
I think this album, Sam, his vocal range is really displayed very well. Like it's everywhere. Like you said, you don't like the gutturals, but I think they're like him changing it up so much makes it more memorable for me. And you gotta note another thing. The production is Jordan Fish, and every guitar drum bit in this album is so freaking punchy. You note it especially on Whiplash and Black Hole and even Elegy a little bit. It's so punchy. I love it. And we talked about Elegy a little bit, but I want to go into the lyrics because I think it's really cool the way they do it. For those who don't know what an elegy is, it's like a poem to like a dead person. So like a eulogy, right? You like at a funeral, you talk about the person's life. It's like that, but in a poem form. So like the whole of elegy is leading up to the breakdown, which basically is the elegy. You've written out my elegy again, written out my elegy again, and then it goes into the bridge, which is like the elegy itself. Which I thought was really, really interesting and cool. Like it's something I haven't seen before, and like you get the little poem in the bridge, and then all of a sudden, Yeah, I just thought it was a really creative decision.
There are really just so many strong moments on this album that I feel like without Jordan Fish, they wouldn't have hit as hard. Like I
Mm.
definitely in you talking about how punchy things are, the production is insane on this
Yeah.
album. And I think that this is something that was missing. I mean, you know me, I wasn't the biggest fan of All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us or Holy Hell. And I think that one of the biggest complaints that I had from those albums is that the instrumentation, everything doesn't feel like, it feels like there needs to be a little bit more oomph to me, and a lot of moments in this album, or those albums, I should say. And that's not present here. It's not missing at all. Every moment that's meant to hit hits, and it makes for such a better album experience. I think that that same thing was missing on Classic Symptoms of a Spirit, right? That's what it's called.
Yep.
I think. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm the resident architect's non-enjoyer. I feel like I love For Those That Wish to Exist, and nothing else has hit for me, but I found so many songs on here to enjoy. I think I saved all but 3.
Which three?
And even
Which three?
Elegy,
Ah!
Curse, and Chandelier.
What?
Let me explain. My look, Elegy, I have no doubt will grow on me. I've only heard the album once, and I have no doubt that Chandelier will as well. My biggest problem with this album is where Seeing Red is placed, because I think For Those Who Wish to Exist, it was my album of the year in 2021 at one point. I think it ended up in like number 9 or 10. But one of the biggest things that I enjoyed about that album was, even though I'd heard Meteor as a single and didn't like it as much, the fact that it came second to last, like it had such like great pre-closer energy almost, that like it was an epic song that really
Like you could
led
feel
into-
the album starting to wrap up before you even hit the closer,
Oh
sort of
yeah,
thing.
absolutely, absolutely, and it really prepped me for a beautiful closer. And Seeing Red and the messaging behind it, which is just like, you only love us when we're heavy, like whatever, here's your pissed off song. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't have expected it to be on this album. And if it was, I would have expected it to come much earlier. And because Seeing Red isn't Meteor and it doesn't have that same energy, it doesn't prep me at all. You tell me where that song's going to be on the track list, I'm never telling you second to last. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. And
Yeah,
so
I can
then
kind of see that.
yeah, once I got there, I think that's what stopped
Curse
me
as
from
well
enjoying
too.
Chandelier. I don't like that song straight up. I like it's
It grew
problem
on me
is,
on this album.
it's
I
surrounded
didn't
by
like it as a
so
single.
many stronger tracks is the problem for me. I think that it's like, okay, why? Like what are you doing here? Like I would love, I know sometimes there are like albums that we quote unquote fix by like throwing into a playlist and like switching around the order, like throwing a different single from before the album in there. I would love to do that with this, because I feel like there's not necessarily a bad song on here. It's just a victim of its own track list almost. That would be my one gripe with it, because I for all my faults that I had with the last album, I have no complaints about this other than that. Like I thought this was a great metalcore album that Architects have turned it around after a really middling album experience I had with the last one. They've brought in some electronic elements, which need more metalcore bands to do. Missing Icy Stars, please, Architects. If Architects enters their electronic arc, I will issue the biggest like hater apology form of all time. You will never hear a single negative thing about Architects from me ever again.
Mentions Doomsday.
No, I will rescind my hate. I will buy a copy on vinyl. Actually, I probably won't. Those are probably really expensive at this point, I would imagine. But no, that's I don't know if you all feel the same way or felt that in the album, but to me, the album's end with those last 3 tracks didn't feel like it could have hit as much as it should have, given how well the rest of the album was produced and all those other moments that really struck hard.
To be fair, I think Chandelier does what you're saying Meteor does. It's in itself. I think Chandelier is my favorite Architects closer, and that's saying a lot, because we have like Memento Mori, and Architects is always
Be
known for
very
pretty good.
afraid. Be very afraid.
Is that the
Classic
name of the?
Symptoms
Is that?
isn't a bad album.
I didn't even know that was the name of the song, honestly, or the name of the closer.
It's Be Very. The closer from that last album is my favorite song on the album. It's like top 5 Architect song for me. I will die on that hill. I will fight for Be Very Afraid.
But I think Chandelier is the best because it starts light like a closer, but like almost every other Architect's close. Actually, Memento Mori does that too, where it progressively gets heavier. Memento Mori is long though. Like 6 minutes or something. Man, I've kind of like defeated my whole point. Like talked myself out of it. Anyway. No.
I was just gonna say it reminded me a lot of the closer to the Rain City Drive album from last year. What was that?
Yeah, Sacrifice.
Yes, Sacrifice. That progression, I think they nailed it. In saying that it was like one of the, I think it literally is just like the fact that Seeing Red exists before it. I just wasn't expecting the closer yet because of the way that the track list worked out. And then I get there and I'm like, oh, we're in the closer now. Because I didn't have the track list up. Like I wasn't paying attention. I just wouldn't have ever assumed that I'm hearing Seeing Red before the closer. Because it's a beautiful song. I was left almost kind of shell-shocked listening to the album. Like, what the hell? How did we get here? Bring me back, like, I don't know. Broken Mirror, I think, would be a great song to have.
I think Broken Mirror is the pick before Chandelier. That's what I would do.
If we get Curse and Seeing Red and then Broken Mirror and Chandelier, I'm having an entirely different conversation. I think I definitely, both for myself and in general, there is a lot of replayability from this album, regardless of the track list. I think there's so many strong songs here. Playlistable, able to be listened to front to back on the album. I'm interested to see where the replayability, where it lands us as we progress through the year.
I've had this album on repeat. Really? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I've been listening to this album a lot more than I thought I would. Because like I came out of this album day one being like, it's fine. I'm probably only going to go back to Everything Ends. And then I spent the rest of the next week re-listening to literally every song on the album.
So what I'm hearing is I need to get over myself.
You need to listen to it more than once.
Yeah,
I have 197 listens.
Damn.
Like of tracks I've heard. So I don't know what the math is on that, but
I have 12.
There's 13 songs.
There is? No, there's 12, surely. Yeah, it's 12.
No, I'm crazy.
Oh. I was like, wait, hold
Math
on.
is hard.
I know. I'm
doing math.
Well,
I've listened to it 16 times.
Okay. All right. Well, that's 15 more than me. So I'm going to trust your opinion over mine and give it another go. There's enough here, regardless of my complaints, to make me want to go back into it. And I'm excited to hopefully enjoy Elegy a little bit more. And now that I've heard everything, know what I'm getting into, like this album's definitely worth a listen. In my complaining about the little bit at the end, it's definitely a strong metalcore album. People who gave up on Architects after the previous album, because I remember so many people complaining. Like Jake, your opinion that it was a good album was not popular. Like I was not. So I'm happy that they went back. I mean, I guess proving the point a little bit in Seeing Red, but it's not just heavier songs; it's heavier songs done well. Anyway, Jake, it looks like, did you do your math?
Yeah, I pulled up the numbers. Jacob, you said 186 for Architects, right? Or 196?
197.
Okay, well, I thought, so I have 186 on Winona Fighter, and I thought we would have the same numbers on Winona Fighter and Architects. And thought that'd be funny. I've got, in the past 30 days, I'm at 156 plays on Architects.
Wow.
So that's like a pretty respectable number.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think, like, yeah, I've genuinely spent more time with this album than I thought I would. Coming out of the album, I was like, I really like Everything Ends, which we haven't really even talked about that song. It's probably the most radio-friendly song on the album, which is everything that I loved about that last album so much. And Sam singing really has just gotten so much better. I really like the line in the pre-chorus, "Castles only I can defend," where the entire song is basically, it's about like the battle in your head, about like, I don't know, just overthinking things, the feeling that anxiety, and just all of the, I don't know, thoughts in your head and whatever. But that idea of castles only I can defend is that like all of these thoughts that any one person is having at any time, and no matter how stupid or dumb they are, because it's me, I'm able to come up with a reason to like logic to make it seem logical. Whereas like that's basically like, if my brain is a castle, if my brain is the castle walls and inside my brain are all these overthinking thoughts, only my brain is able to defend the thoughts inside the castle. Anyone that is picking apart the thoughts in my brain, like why I am too afraid to try a new food and have not tried any new food intentionally in the better part of a decade at this point, like that is not a logical thought. My brain is able to normalize that and make it seem logical. That is something only me very specifically am able to defend. And that's not like the entire point of the song Everything Ends. It's kind of about like accepting that even when you're going through a bad time, eventually you're gonna just, oh, suddenly I'm not feeling so shitty sort of thing. But just that one line about castles only I can defend, and Sam's vocal delivery of it before the pre-chorus was something that I've really resonated with. And as I said, Sam's clean singing has just gotten so much better, and a song almost entirely being that was straight up my alley. As I already mentioned, Elegy, my second favorite song on here, phenomenal opener. I just love the way that slow builds. It's like it almost has the Pray for Rain structure that is like one of my favorite album openers of all time. It just it's not Pray for Rain. But I love the way that song builds, and that's one of the few times on this album where I think Sam's gutturals actually work. Like when he drops the first low vocal in that first verse, I don't remember what word he does it on, but like I was having a great time with it.
I'm
By
pretty
the
sure it's
time
just
we get to the
O.
second,
He says
it
O.
might just be an O. But by the time we get to the second half of the album with the stretch of Landmine's Judgment Day, Broken Mirror Curse, something I noticed is that a lot of the breakdowns and heavier moments on this album have a very repetitive structure of when the guttural shows up. And as someone that doesn't like the gutturals anyway, when like I get in Landmines, I get like the breakdown of another couple strikes that I'm out, these punishments were made to measure. I get this really like the normal Sam's uncleans. And I don't mind that delivery. I like that delivery, but then you get the third line of drowning flowers in the depths of a drought. I've got all of this written down to try and prove my point because I would not be able to remember these lyrics at all. You get to that third line and it's the guttural, and I just kind of sigh. I sit back in my seat. I'm not as invested as soon as the gutturals come up. Judgment Day, it's more electronic, it's more Queen's focus. You get that phenomenal feature from Amir Alpha Key. And then in the breakdown again, you get that one word that is done in the guttural, and Death Row Dreams. And Sam just belts out dreams in a guttural. And it's like, did Judgment Day really need it? Okay, fine. It's just a second song. Then we get to Broken Mirrors, and he does the same thing again, where it's reflections and then a guttural on the word scattered, and it's like, can I get a normal breakdown, please, without a guttural? Is that so hard to ask for?
I wanted to go back to what Derek was talking about with Seeing Red. After looking at it, staring at the track list right now, Curse and Seeing Red were released way before everything else. Why? I feel like they're just slapped on the end there.
Yep.
Let's just get rid of it.
Exactly.
Both of them. Make it a 10-track album.
Exactly. I would be very interested to put that in a playlist and listen to it and see how it feels, or even two other, because I mean, with how strong the rest of the album is, right? Surely they have the capability to write 2 new songs. Like, even thematically, Seeing
10
Red,
tracks is fine too.
well, yeah, absolutely. I'm just like, I don't know, there's so many options other than what we got. Why?
I am a Curse defender. I really enjoy Curse. I love that chorus.
Doesn't need to be on the album though.
Does it need to be on the album though? I think I would be fine without it. Like, I really enjoy it on the album, but I don't think I would be heartbroken if it's not on there. With me being a Curse defender, I'm also not going to defend that it did the third line guttural for the 4th song in a row.
Well, something
Um,
else I don't understand.
but
Seeing Red almost feels like a shot in the foot with where it is. Because you've just gotten done giving us an album that was heavier than your last, that the tracks are things that you should be proud of, like as an artist, I feel like. And then the point is, oh, well, you guys only love us when we're heavy, so here it is. Like, you're welcome for the songs that we just gave you. It's like, no, if you're trying to create like a piece of album experience and art to be enjoyed, why would you at track 11 of 12 be like, I'm kind of like mad that we have to make heavy music in order for our fans to like us.
Hmm.
It's like, why? Like maybe track 2 after an opener, sure,
I
I
was
could
literally
totally
just
see
about
what
to
you mean.
say, Elegy into Seeing Red into Whiplash probably would sound great.
Oh yeah, I have
But I
no
also
doubt.
want to pose the question of, is there hidden meaning to Seeing Red that we haven't picked up on? Like, is there
I
a defendable
Hmm.
lyrical reason for it to be at that point that we are just like, oh, it's the song about it's like the general topic about the song is, oh, it's the song about Sam being mad about we're a heavy band and the fans only like us when they're. Is there a deeper meaning that we're not picking up on because the obvious message is obvious? And like, does that deeper meaning justify it being the second to last song?
I don't think so. I don't think
Yeah,
there's a redeemable. I because I thought about that too in terms of like the other themes on this album, especially like politically and different things like that. I don't think so. I think that the message is too. They were a little too. Here's the problem: they were a little too in their face or in our faces with the messaging that they wanted to convey when that song dropped, especially given that it was like after the previous album and people made all these comments about like
They've
Architects
made a
is
tour for
dead.
it too.
Yeah, like it's. I feel like it's on here solely, like you said, it's kind of just slapped on at the end, and I feel like it's because it was two popular songs that they felt the need to include because sonically it worked. Whereas, like in terms of like putting them actually on an album, it just
I feel like Cursed kind of works lyrically with,
yeah,
with
it's
but
forgivable.
yeah,
It's a forgivable ad.
Seeing Red. No, yeah.
I don't. They've got me seeing red by putting it on here. Like now I'm mad. Take it off. I mean, it's a great song. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy listening to it a lot. I've spun it plenty of times. It just I didn't know what to think going into this album per se. It exceeded all my expectations, and then we got to that point. And I'm like, damn, like you almost stuck the landing, and there's just this one barrier that's keeping me from enjoying it as much as I want to, or giving a song like Chandelier, which by all means should not be a song that I don't have saved. But after my first listen, I'm just like, ugh, left me a bad taste in my mouth. I don't know. I know I've been harping on that point a lot, but I think it frustrates me so much because the rest of the album is so damn good. Like it's
you're allowed to
great.
harp on it because I have spent a lot of time harping on Sam's gutturals appearing like for
I-
3 seconds a song.
True.
And I haven't mentioned it, but Whiplash and Black Hole fall victim to the same thing as well of the
Mm.
second or third line guttural that I'm just like,
Let me
you
rank
take,
these Architects gutturals.
and I put them all at 5. Wait, Elegy, the first verse of Elegy, that goes at number 1. Everything else is at 5. You can't make me put a 2 through 4. I think the last point that I want to kind of wrap up this discussion with is mentioning the features, because we get 2 features on this album. We get House of Protection on Brain Dead, and we get Amir Alfaqi on Judgment Day. Seeing that Amir Alfaqi feature on the track list had it as one of my most anticipated songs of the entire year coming into this album. And I hate to say, but I was a little let down by Judgment Day. Like, it's a good song. Amira
Really?
sounds great. I love her feature. But on the whole, I don't know. I expected the song to be more epic.
I can say
Maybe like I shouldn't have, because it's not like Amira is like a super heavy artist or anything. So like it makes sense that she's featured on one of the softer songs on the album and like one of the more melodic songs, but I don't know. I was expecting more from the feature and ultimately left a little let down. It's still a fine, even good song, but it was the song I was most looking forward to from this album, and it did not meet the very high bar that I had set for myself. Then you also get the feature from House of Protection on Brain Dead, which we haven't touched on that song at all yet.
At all.
The main riff on that song is fun as hell. Also falls victim to the unnecessary gutturals fallacy that I have continued to string along in this review discussion. But the chorus is fine. The verses are fine. I don't love the House of Protection feature either, but I think the how much fun energy there is in the riff and in the chorus kind of makes up for it. Though, like, even though I don't love the feature, I hear that like fast-paced, like almost punk riff, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'm having a good time. And then the verses, I'm like, kind of take it or leave it, but like that's kind of, I guess, something that I can say for the whole album is that even though there are moments, the gutturals, that I don't like on most of the songs, there's enough to keep me interested in every song on here. Each song might have their flaws, but they aren't deal breakers to me.
I think Brain Dead might be my least favorite song on this album.
Honestly, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I would agree. It's bottom 3.
Well, that was a long discussion. I can't imagine there's much more to say about this album.
Justin,
Yeah,
how's everything ends?
it's fine.
That's about what we expected.
Yep.
I liked Black Hole, funnily enough.
That
I
makes
like
no
the
sense.
What?
I like the chorus in it.
Okay.
That is
okay.
a phenomenal.
That's true.
chorus,
Big
yeah.
asterisk, yeah. Big
The
asterisk,
chorus is
but
really
yes,
good.
correct.
Everything ends. I mean, as Jake says, probably like their most radio friendly song. Everything else kind of fell by the wayside.
About par
For
for
me.
the course.
Yep, par for the course. We'll take the Black Hole chorus dub. That's progress.
Facts.
With that, I think we're fully wrapped up on that discussion and this episode as a whole. February recap. There's definitely some other releases that we could have talked about, but just stuff that we weren't that passionate about. And I think one of our kind of goals for this year is to keep these episodes a little shorter. And even if there's albums that all of us have listened to try and really just focus on talking about albums that we think we can have meaningful discussions on, and albums that we have like really enjoyed, and not just, oh, we discussed some singles for this album, but the album as a whole was just fine, so we're gonna throw it in because we liked some of the singles. Like,
You
there's three
could
albums
say
that we
hands
added.
like houses. You could say that.
No, Silverstein.
Yeah, I was gonna say Silverstein, but yeah,
Oh yeah, Silverstein as well.
Silverstein did drop an album this month. Yeah,
That was so forgettable.
Yeah, it was.
I really liked 2 songs on that, but
All I
the
remember
rest
is there's a
was,
song called Cherry Coke. That's pretty memorable.
Yep.
That's
There's a
it.
song
I don't
called
remember
Cherry
what the
Coke.
song sounds like. I just remember the
Yeah,
name.
I think generally going forward this year, I think we're gonna. I mean, I know March is looking pretty fucked for album releases, so we're probably gonna have like 8 albums to talk about next
Yeah.
month. But I think one of our goals for this year is to just try and keep these episodes shorter and really focus on songs that we can have more meaningful discussions on, because it does get a little disheartening when we get to 3 hours into recording and we have to end an episode with, say, like a Too Close to Touch review, and it's like we're 3 hours in, we're drained, and we have to like. We can't give our all to this discussion because we just kind of want to wrap it up. So,
Jake, why did you say something that would never happen?
Yeah, we can't ever have that again. Jake.
that was just an example.
Not again.
We can't have these things here.
Thank you for the thumbnail image, Derek.
No!
Dude, when this one's not going anywhere, YouTube's gonna take it
Oh,
down.
it's so cooked.
Here, put this on his hand.
Yeah, that's gonna wrap up our February recap. March is looking pretty stacked. I know we're recording the second weekend of March, so we've already had one New Music Friday in March. Spirit Box. Did someone say Spirit Box? Tsunami Sea, we'll be talking about that, and there's a couple other big albums coming out next month as well. Bloodywood, Bad Valentine. I feel like I'm forgetting Memphis Mayfire as well. So
Oh yeah, that's finally coming out.
Cool. I'll be quiet during album discussion.
So some big albums coming out next month. So it'll be another fun episode. So be sure to follow and stay tuned for more if you want to hear more on albums in the sphere of genres that we like to talk about here. Hivemind Radio _ on Instagram and Twitter. Hivemind Recap Podcast on Spotify and other podcast platforms. Hivemind Radio on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel because we record these monthly recaps live, so you can come interact in the chat with us if you would like. I think that's all of the showing that needed to get done. So unless you guys have any other closing thoughts, I think we're good to call this one a wrap.
Go listen to Red Lights by Alchemize.
Real.
Facts.
Real.
Sleep Tonka.
Soon.
Surely.
No, it is. It is.
It's March.
It's Thursday.
No shit. All right, well,
Brace
add
yourselves.
that to the list of things to talk about in March. March is going to be big. And
Bye,
we will see
guys.
you next month for that.
Bye.
I have ended the stream.
Ugh.